Hi everyone, John here from All Miniatures Great and Small, and today we're going to be unboxing Ryan's Leathernecks. This is an American Marine Strike Force for Team Yankee, a World War III miniatures game from Battlefront Miniatures. Battlefront was kind enough to send me a review copy of this box, so we are going to open it up and take a look at the contents. So on the cover we get M60s and our Humvees. On the back, we have a description of the contents. We've got 3 M60 Patton tanks, including tank commanders, 6 plastic HMMWV vehicles, including vehicle crew, 1 decal sheet, 7 unit cards, and 1 Team Yankee mini rulebook, which is something that they've started doing that I really like. And then it gives us a nice picture of the contents over here. Alright, so let's go ahead and crack this open and see what we get. Get the plastic off to get the glare. These side loading boxes, I don't know about you guys, but once I pull these out once, I can never get them back in the way that they're packed. Alright, so there's our contents. And we'll take this apart and see what we got. Okay, first thing we've got is a very basic assembly diagram. Looks like nothing too complicated. Nothing on the back end. Then we've got 3 sprues for the M60 and 6 sprues for the Humvee. We'll take a closer look at those in a minute. We've got Battlefront's trademarked crew. We'll take a look at those. Those are plastic. These look like metal drivers. The Team Yankee mini rulebook, and then the unit cards with decals. Alright, so that's all the contents. Let's take a look at, we'll start with Humvee. Take a look at this. Okay, so fortunately these are very simple to build, it looks like. The detail looks really cool. Windscreen. I see 2 different, well, I don't see the difference between these 2, but they look like they go on top of the cab somehow. I think this is the dough launcher machine gun. It looks like maybe a loader machine gun. And the underside of the sprue. I know from looking at the book, at my review copy of the book, you could build these 3 different ways. You can build them with a tow, you can build them machine gun, or a 40mm grenade launcher, which I believe is this part here, which is pretty cool. So they look good. The only thing I don't like in first view is these mold gates that are along the top of the model. Interestingly, these don't actually touch, so the front grill is going to be quite nice. But these here, and you saw it like in my half-track review, plastic half-track review, these are hard to cut perfectly every time and get them flush with your knife, and if you you mess up, you've got a little scrape or dent in a very obvious part of the tank or vehicle. Why they couldn't put it towards the bottom where it'd be easier to hide with, you know, mud and dirt, I'm not sure. But just being careful though is the rule of the day, and that shouldn't cause you too much problems, but just something to be aware of. Alright, so that is the HMMWV sprue. Let's take a look at the M60 next. Let's go ahead and zoom out. Oops. Go ahead and zoom out, and there you go. All right. We'll start with the deck. Very nice detail. This is the first time I've actually looked at the kit. Hatches, turret top, some stowage, machine guns, the back plate of the engine right there, different hatch. So it looks like there might be a couple of hatch options. The bottom of the hull and the tracks, which look very nicely detailed. Like these ones are hollow, which is kind of interesting and cool. Then looking at the back side, track detail. Here we can see the turret top. And this fortunately has the mold gates on the bottom of the turret, but you still want to be careful when cutting that so it doesn't look obvious. So there you go, that is the M60 tank sprue. Other thing to note is it's in green. I think all my other Team Yankee plastics in the past, in the first few waves, have all been gray. So they're taking a page from version 4 Flames of War, I think, and molding these in plastic. It's a nice touch. You know, the plastic feels the same, but for those gamers who are not painters, they can slap this together and they've got an appropriately colored green tank, and they're that quicker to getting it on the board. So it's a nice touch from Battlefront, so not everything is gray. But it looks like should take paint just fine as the gray counterpart. Alright, so that is the M60 sprue. Next, let's take a look at the guards. And by saying take a look at the cards, I really mean let's take a look at the crew figures first. So a couple of the crew broke off the sprue in transit, but these are the soft plastic, so it's not a big deal. These aren't damaged at all. They were just loose in the package. So what do you get on the sprue? I think these are all for the Humvees. That guy's like, what? I imagine he's to hold a machine gun. Those look like stingers, I think, or red eyes. I can't remember the rulebook. I think they're stingers for the AA variant of the Hummer. The required pointy guy. So the detail on these is really nice. Very nice. So it gives you enough of these figures. 2 of them broke off, but they're the same to build 4 anti-aircraft vehicles if you want, which is a cool touch. And then the metal crew, I imagine these are intended for the M60. It just looks like guys to poke out of the hatch. So that's the crew. Now we'll take a look at the cards. Okay, so this is what we get in our little Ziploc baggie. This card's actually meant to be folded, it looks like, and it has a breakdown of the forces from stripes and the support units and stripes. Then we have our cards. These are you can see these cards actually on the Battlefront website, like under the various models, like you can see the stats for the Hummer and the Hummer product review and so on. But basically we're getting, let's see, we have the SAM platoon, so there you can see that launcher guy. The M60 for the 2nd Marine Division. Same card. This is a Hummer Scout Section card, Anti-Tank Squad. And you can see there's the, it is a tow. You get a card for movement orders, the ever popular movement order card. The SAM platoon. So that is a Stinger that he's holding. I guess we looked at that one already. And then the Scout Section, which has the 3 different variants. So that accounts for all the different weapons on the sprue. You've got a 50 cal, 40mm grenade launcher, or improved tow missile. So that's kind of cool. So there you go. You got enough cards. Now what's interesting too is with the theme of the box is a Marine, American Marine Strike Force. So these M60s cards, I guess they weren't duplicates. One's the HQ and one's the platoon itself. These are Marine M60s, so you're not getting the U.S. Army version of it. And I think that's also something to point out in that I did notice that on the sprue for the M60 there are 2 barrels, so I think you can build these up as either the M60A1 for the Marines or the M60A3 for the US Army. I think this one, they're almost identical, but this one has like a little shroud on the front, so I think that goes to the A3 if I'm correct, and go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below. And lastly, you do get a copy of the little mini rulebook, which is a very nice touch. This is handy to have when you're gaming or at a tournament rather than carrying another hardcover. I don't think this is new or anything like this. I think it's copyright 2016, so I don't think they've updated it or anything like that. At least I haven't heard. But it's just cool to have a little mini rule book, and it's a nice touch. Now, after you build a couple of these battle forces, you're going to have a bunch of these books around. So it's nice. You can give them to people who are interested, or hand them out and share the love. But there you go. That is the contents of Ryan's Leathernecks. As usual, I'm going to go ahead and build some, if not all of these guys. I'm kind of excited to build them so you can see what they look like built, and if I encounter any kind of weird assembly issues, I will let you guys know. But there you go. So we'll be back in a moment with that. Here we go. I've assembled the contents of Ryan's Leathernecks, 3 M60 Patton tanks and 6 of the Humvees. All told, it took me maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to assemble everything. And that was being extra careful. First time ever building either one of these models. But they went together really quickly, and for the most part, it was quite simple. Let's start with the M60. Now the M60 went together really well. It is a really nice looking tank. The standouts for me were these tracks and the suspension in the tracks. You can actually see all the way through, and it really looks good. It really captures the M60 suspension there. A lot of nice detail there, and it goes together really well. If I had to pick one thing to be careful about, it is well, the basket in the back. This is 3 parts, so it's 2 tiny parts here on the ends and then a piece along the back. You want to make sure that the alignment is just good, and because there is a post that these pieces slot into, but there's a little give and slide, so you can get a proper alignment, but you want to make sure it looks good. The other thing is the hull. There is this seam here, the bottom and the top hull coming together. You just want to make sure that that is flush. There is a little give when you're gluing this together. You could have a gap there if you're not careful, so you just want to make sure. But otherwise, man, I really like this. I put the machine gun little cupola turret here. There are parts for a different hatch, but I don't think they're being used in Team Yankee, at least not yet. So I imagine those parts are there in that sprue for future development. If my suspicions are correct, it's so that you can use these M60s for Arab Israeli. You know, make the, what is it, the Magok variant. But overall, I really like the M60, so I'm looking forward to painting these. And you do see, though, that they come in green, like Army Man green, so those guys who just want to play with their tanks, more power to you. I also put the little metal commander in one, open hatch, just so you can see what that looks like. Okay, then let's talk about the Humvees. These are real easy to build. There's not that many parts to them, so they knock out real quick. I built like one of each variant, except the Stinger AA variant. So I've got like a 50 cal machine guns, the grenade launcher, 40 mm grenade launcher, and then the anti-tank guys, just to have a little variety. The detail on these again is awesome. So cool to have these on the table. The only caution on construction is there are a couple of sprue gates right here on that side that you want to make sure you trim. But actually that location is pretty easy to trim, so it's not as hard as like those half tracks in mid-war World War II. So overall, this kit was really nice. Pretty much the same. The instructions tell you which figures can go with which weapons. That's a commander slash machine gun guy. And I like these tow gunners. He's looking in the sight. Looks pretty cool. So there you go, guys. That is the contents of Ryan's Leathernecks. This is retailing for $55 US, which in my opinion is a fantastic price. I believe like a box of 5 of these is going to be 40 bucks, or a box of 6 of these is going to be 40 bucks US, or around there. That's what I think it's going to be. So 55 for what you're getting here is a great deal. Particularly if you plan on building like a HMMWV Humvee company, scout company. I'm probably going to end up getting maybe 2 more boxes, which would let me have 9 Pattons and 18 Hummers, which I could build a lot of different ways. I could build an anti-tank platoon, I could build an AA platoon, I could have a couple of scout platoons, and they're really cheap. So game-wise, that's fantastic. So there you go. That is the contents of Ryan's Leathernecks. If you can't tell already, I really like this box set much more than the previous box sets I got, because I can see the use in multiple boxes, picking up multiple boxes of this. Thanks to Battlefront for the review copy. I really like it again, and looking forward to getting these guys out on the table soon. As always, please, you can check us out on Facebook at All Miniatures Great and Small. We'd appreciate it if you'd hop over there. We try to post every day or every other day, showing you what we're up to, what upcoming videos to look forward to. And as always here, please, if you like what you saw, give us a like and subscribe. Go ahead and let us know what you think about the M60 and these new releases for Stripes down in the comments below. We're curious to hear. As always, thanks for watching, and keep on wargaming.